Now, you got this election in the United States between two white people, but if you don't vote for the correct white person, then you're a racist. So the industrial mainstream media complex was gearing up, saying that the experts in the poll says that you could have a white backlash which could power a Republican win. Because again, white people, they vote for the wrong white person, and that's racist. You have the New York Times saying that there are signs of high turnout in Virginia, but not many clues about who may benefit. High turnout is assumed to help the Democrats, but Republicans stand to gain if more white working class voters go to the poll. In other words, the New York Times is indirectly admitting that the left has completely alienated people based on race, as well as people based on class.
What do you say to that? You're supposed to be fixing that.
I had that experience countless times on the trail, Don, where I would say, hey, I'm running for president to a truck driver, retail worker, a waitress in a diner, and they would say, what party? And I'd say Democrat, and they would flinch, like I'd said something really negative, or I just I'd turned another color or something like that. And there's something deeply wrong when working class Americans have that response to a major party that theoretically is supposed to be fighting for them. So you have to ask yourself, what has the Democratic Party been standing for in their minds? And in their minds, the Democratic Party, unfortunately, has taken on this role of the coastal urban elites who are more concerned about policing various cultural issues than improving their way of life that has been declining for years. And so if you're in that situation, this to me is a fundamental problem for the Democratic Party, because if they don't figure this out, then this polarization and division will get worse, not better.
Is that real or messaging or both?
It's real. I mean, Debbie just said they lost a plant that had 1,500 workers. And so if you're a laid off worker from that plant and you look up and say, what is the Democratic Party doing for me? It's unclear. And we can talk about a unifying message from Joe Biden. He's a naturally very unifying figure. But then there's the reality on the ground where their way of life has been disintegrating for years. And if we don't address that, then you're going to see a continued acceleration toward the institutional mistrust that animated the Trump vote and will continue to do so.
So if you happen to be a white working class lad and you don't vote for the party that offers you zero, congratulations, you're a racist. And then you have the meltdown on CNN.
Some of it was dog whistle.
Yeah.
Right? Some of it was dog whistle racism.
1,000%.
But
1,000%. Racism, dog whistle, racism. By the way, how come no one hears these dog whistles except CNN and the left? They're the only ones that hear these whistles that apparently are made for dogs to hear. I just don't understand, why am I not hearing them? But here's a fun fact. Did you know that there was a third candidate in the race? Yes, a black woman by the name of Princess Blanding. Why isn't it racist to vote for the Democratic nominee, which is a white guy, when you could vote progressive for this black lady? This is a question that no one seems to answer. So I'm a little baffled. I guess I will need to ask a university professor, an expert that teaches anti-racism, to enlighten me. Why is it that if you vote for one white person is okay, but if you vote for the other white person is problematic? And if you don't vote for the black woman, no one is going to say anything. In fact, they're not even going to bring it up. And while we're on the subject, there is also another interesting observation, which everyone should also make it. Whenever you talk about the Virginia election, you shouldn't be able to talk about it without mentioning this. You guys know how traditionally we used to celebrate people based on merit. So we would celebrate the person who invented penicillin, or we would celebrate the person that discovered the light bulb. But that's reactionary. That is outdated. That's not how things are being done in a progressive environment. In a progressive environment, we now celebrate people based on identity. How they happen to be born. What is their pedigree? It's pretty much like a cat competition. You can't get your cat to the beauty competition judge unless it has a pedigree, unless it has the correct heritage. And it's kind of similar how we celebrate people now, right? So it's the first black woman that becomes a superhero in a Marvel movie. It's the first female 4-star admiral. It's not the accomplishment that is impressive, because many people have been 4-star admirals before. No, but it's the identity, it's the pedigree, it's the heritage. Which is quite interesting, because every now and then I like to ask a progressive, it's like, okay, who was the first female black superhero. And they don't know. Like they're man baffled. But I asked them who invented the light bulb, and they know. And that shows that they have an unconscious bias. Like they would rather learn insignificant backward thinking rather than be enlightened and remember the names of those that create history. And it turns out that there is one such name of a person that created history, and she did so just the other day. But I'm looking at the Cuomo Nepotism Network, I'm looking at the MSLSD and other authoritative sources, and I don't see them celebrating. I don't see them to be very happy. And you know what? That's okay. Maybe they're celebrating too much. Every single day it's a new celebration for them, and now they ran out a little bit of steam. So I will celebrate instead of them. I will celebrate on their behalf. So I would like to be thankful because in the United States, history has been made, and we have the first black woman, business owner, immigrant, Marine veteran, Attorney General.
Making history, the Associated Press declaring Winsome Sears the winner in Virginia's lieutenant governor's race, making her the first female and woman of color elected to statewide office in the Old Dominion. Born in Jamaica, Sears is a mother of three, a former state legislator, a business owner, and a Marine veteran. And Sears is not shy about her support for the Second Amendment, posting this picture that went viral of herself bearing arms at a gun range. She also spoke last night of being a Marine and an immigrant in a patriotic speech.
Now wait a minute, CNN, no! So the industrial mainstream media complex is trying to tell people that if you vote for a black woman, it's racist, but if you vote for a white guy, it's progressive. Now, look, I don't blame the mainstream media industrial complex. Their business is to make ratings and receive kickbacks from various politicians. So I respect that. I mean, they notice that this works, so they're going to do what works. What I don't understand is the people who watch television and they don't have a little bit of a disconnect in their head. Like they don't have a little bit of a wheel that starts screeching to a halt inside their brain. When they're getting exposed to this level of bullshit, don't they like just stop and think for a little bit and go like, maybe the left are the real racists here. Maybe they don't actually care about diversity for a single second. Maybe they just want to get in power and use diversity as a vector to get people to elect them. Meanwhile, the evil white working class people, what do? They elect a black attorney general. Why did they do that? Because they care about her platform. They don't vote based on genetics. This isn't a cat beauty competition where we need to show the pedigree of the cats that are running for the beauty parlor. This is supposed to be electing a person that's going to govern the nation. So maybe, just maybe, their policy is what matters. Maybe, just maybe, what they have to say is actually important. It's why we have debates and not 23andMe tests. It's why we don't bring Hitler back with his little skull measurements and we don't count the dimples on the skull. Maybe that's why? Because it's important to see what a person has to say, not what they look like.
Not even first generation American. When I joined the Marine Corps, I was still a Jamaican, but this country had done so much for me. I was willing to die for this country. USA!
Beautiful. Well, you wouldn't have seen that speech, Juan, if you were watching CNN and MSNBC, who just chose not to air it. Don't you think that deserved airtime?
And that right there is the whole problem. You have people who only watch Fox News. And you have people who only watch MSLSD and the Cuomo Nepotism Network. And one of the way the mainstream media industrial complex lies to people is not by flat out lying, but by refusing to show context, by refusing to cover certain events. And the only way you can actually know what's going on is to listen to both the left and the right. I know it's painful. It is very difficult to listen to people who are so partisan and you disagree with. But it is the only way you can actually have context and you can actually see what's happening in the world for yourself. So in this particular situation, it exposes the fact that the people at CNN don't really care about diversity at all. Not one single bit. The only time they care is when it can give them power. Is when they have the first black female superhero, is when they can have like the first female admiral, only as long as these people are on the left. The only place where diversity is not allowed and it's heavily discouraged is on the right. Conservatives aren't allowed to have their own diversity initiatives. That is horrible. That is bad when they do it. The only people that are allowed to do it is the left, because diversity is their strength, not yours. Not to the right. The right doesn't need that strength. That is evil. So I found it a little bit amusing, and still I'm wondering, how is a person that watches this? I mean, a lot of people knew already, but words have completely lost meaning. Racism now means not voting for a white guy and voting for a black woman. And people just don't watch the news anymore. The only thing they do is they go into their bubble and they only take their news from one source. And there used to be a proverb in my language for that. Beware the person who only reads one book. And I guess now people don't read books, but they just watch the mainstream media. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the comment section. And as usual, I'll be live streaming after this. So I will see you on my live stream channel if you guys are so inclined. Take care.
There are some who want to divide us, and we must not let that happen. They would like us to believe we are back in 1963 when my father came. We can live where we want. We can eat where we want. We own the water fountains. We have had a black president elected not once but twice, and here I am living proof